Hear ye, the end times are upon us, for Futures Rewritten Ultimate was cleared, without healers, on patch. Dun dun dun. The exact composition used was 4 paladins. Yes, 4 paladins. Reaper, Dancer, Red Mage, and Pictomancer, because of course Pictomancer. Cut to the spicy stuff, because I'm about to make some people mad as hell. The healer issues that I talked about over a year ago didn't go away. I just stopped talking about them. Do you want XIV drama on Twitter? Are you waiting to have a field day to cancel someone? Rah rah, let's beat up the pinata. Well, I have some tea for you, sis. I actually haven't done a single expert roulette dungeon this expansion. No, not one. And I haven't done a single extreme trial or touched the alliance raid or any of the easier content because I meant what I said a year ago. I am exhausted from the healer issues that I raised a year ago that seemingly went unanswered. Why do I want to do a dungeon where the tank completely heals himself and Eos does the rest, where my experience from start to finish is pressing Art of War on loop? Now, Futures Rewritten Ultimate and the Savage tier, I actually totally enjoyed them completely, and I've had a blast. I just got Futures Rewritten Ultimate clear with no Pictomancer yesterday. Yes, we did it without a Pictomancer. We had a Black Mage, no Picto, and I honestly enjoyed it completely. And the Black Mage did have a brush, and so maybe Yoshi P saw the Black Mage weapon was a brush, and Yoshi P was like, fine, I'll let it pass. But that's the real dichotomy of healing in 14. When I actually throw myself into the fire and literally party find a prog and on content Ultimate, I have a blast. Futures Rewritten Ultimate has honestly reignited the fire in me for Final Fantasy 14, and what a pure delight it's been. Like, I've honestly really had a blast. But we're here to talk about the healer issues and not have me fangirl over free, which I absolutely love. So let's break it down raw. Most healers I know are tired because the damaged part of our kit is literally pressing the 1 button over and over again for 95% of our casts. No one is asking for a DPS rotation. No one. We just want something a bit more engaging so that we're not literally stuck pressing the 1 key and refreshing a single 30-second damage over time effect that has no interaction whatsoever with the rest of our kit. Next is, why was Sage, the brand new 4th healer that was introduced last expansion, given a 30-second damage over time effect, and I say with 0 interaction with the rest of its kit? The potential design space for differentiation is huge, and yet Sage had to fall in line with every other healer. Like, I'm going to ask this directly. Does Combust on Astrologian actually add depth to Astrologian's gameplay? Imagine if instead of Combust we had some sort of extension or interplay with the card system rather than another 30-second dot just to have it. Like, imagine if we got the time dilation effect from like old Ast where you could extend the card effects. That would still be the Astro contributing raid DPS to the group, but it would be in a way that interacted with their card system, was unique to Astro, and felt good. No, we have a 30-second dot. Further from this, and this starts to dip its toes into homogenization of the healers and falling into line, was when I was at the media tour, I myself experienced Sage being able to stack its 2 damage over time effects, Eucration Dyscrasia and Eucration Dosis. That was removed before Dawn Trail's launch, which I absolutely did complain about, because we came so close to breaking the monotony of healer damage kits. It literally was in the media tour build that I personally played, and we lost it. I reiterate, all healers have been made to fall in line. But it's not just the damage, it's also the healing kits too. Like, if I open the free but good mitigation timeline, I'm just going to pick Phase 4, because screw it, because that has all the CT mechanics that people love exploding in. So this is Phase 4, Light and Dark. I underlined with colors the abilities that are the same between the 2 healers. White Mage with Astro is Trivial Temperance for White Mage, is Neutral Sect for Astrologian. Lily Bell for White Mage is Astrologian's Macrocosmos. They are the exact same use case, where Astrologian has Collective Unconscious here, because how do I explain this? Astrologian does differ from White Mage in that it literally has 1 more mitigation option in Collective Unconscious, abbreviated CU here. For Scholar and Sage, Berry Healers is where the homogenization becomes super painfully clear just from looking at the sheet. And it gets worse when you look at the kits actually in depth, like Whispering Dawn versus Physis and so on. But from here, we can see recitation for Scholar, exact same use case as Zoe from Sage, Consultation and Review, Creation, Prognosis, same ability, Soil and Caracol, same ability, Seraphism and Sophia, essentially the same ability, again, so on and so forth. The one biggest exception being Scholar's Expedience does provide a speed boost, which does make Scholar, in many people's eyes, a better option than Sage. Again, that's opinion based, so a lot of people will also say, well, we don't need the speed boost, so take it or leave it. But if we look beyond the mitigation sheet, it's very clear that Sage's cardio system is extremely, and I mean extremely similar to Scholar's Fairy, or that Sage's Aetherflow system is nearly identical to the Aetherflow from Scholar, with abilities being like a 1-to-1, like what is Lustrate? That's Drocole in there. What is Sacred Soil? That's Caracol. What about In Dawn from Scholar? That is literally Ixicol. Like these are 1-to-1 perfectly mapped abilities, but I'm getting too off topic and too deep with this point here. Point is, homogenized a lot. The next thing is that encounters need to actually require healing, which sounds ridiculous to say, but I'm gonna say it. I know that I sound like a tinfoil hat person right now, but if I'm honest, through when I experienced it, and we're talking again about an on-patch ultimate, brand new ultimate, it has points that I personally experienced that were pretty brutal, but I've never done it in a static. I've never had a consistent healer with me, and sometimes people miss mitigations, and holy shit, Burning Glory is like ticking down like crazy. So keep in mind, I have never had the luxury, which I would love to, of being in a static, which I presume with that coordination probably feels different. But that being said, me experiencing through that way has been great, and it's felt great, and it's felt engaging to me. What doesn't feel great, which is the total opposite, is like I said at the start of the video, doing stuff like the dungeon content where a tank alongside EOS can genuinely, truly, honestly cover the overwhelming majority of healing in there. I said casts almost, but reality is you're spamming Art of War. As a scholar, I can tell you it's extremely rare for me to actually need to spread low in content below Savage. Like, are people using spread low during uptime mechanics in the expert dungeons? Girl. And that's where we run into this ever increasingly odd situation where, as a healer, I don't need to heal. Even during the media tour, as I literally sat right beside Zeno as he completed the dungeon with no healers. I'm at the point where I want to beg and plead for more healing. Please, sir, make me just a little bit more healing needed, please. Please don't make me beg. I'm a dom top and not a subby bottom. But this is the state we're in. Let's summarize. First is that there is in most content not enough damage to justify actually healing, like me popping Seraphism is a giga overheal for most normal content, but still something I would recommend. Don't tell me that I didn't tell you to pop your Seraphism. It's free. It's a free regen. Pop it. The one cooldown you're wasting is the one that you don't use. Pop it. But in most content, it's basically just a regen. You just don't need everything it brings. Second issue is because there isn't enough healing, we're spamming our DPS toolkit, which is literally the one button for 95% of our casts. Third is the homogenization means that there's no real escape or variety in gameplay because the one key shall rule them all. The one key rules them all. And I friggin' hate it. Paladin with 45 Clemency casts does more damage than the #1 astrologian in the world. There, I said it. Let's get into this Reddit comment, and it's scathing, and it encapsulates the entire problem with this group that cleared through. Well, not the problem with the group, but with the content. The problem is that even with all the heal spamming, that the Paladin is still doing more damage than the world rank 1. And remember, Astro, compared to the other healers' damage, is hilariously overtuned. Probably because it's riding on the pigtails or coattails or whatever the fuck the phrase is of Picto. But Astro's going bonkers compared to the rest. And it's true, because if you pull up the log, the Paladins have 45 friggin' Clemency casts. They're turning the friggin' Clemency casts gay. And yet, they still do more damage than astrologians in the absolute bleeding top raid DPS department. Astrologians are average, like average astrologian, the median is around 15k raid DPS. Paladins, even spamming Clemency 45 times, is higher than, it's much higher than this, and it's as high as the absolute bleeding edge #1 astrologian in the entire world. Put that into context. That's crazy, bro. What the frig? That's crazy. Which leads me to the second comment, which is probably more true than not. The existence of healers is held up by a single thread, and that is role-targeted mechanics at this point. Damn. Damn, Daniel at it again with the white vans. Damn, Yoshi P back at it with healers going, what the heck? Please help us. But it's messed up, because even in this comment screenshot that I just, around this comment, you can see people clearly stating similar sentiments to myself, which, to be quite clear, you could go back in time on this channel and see, did he actually say that himself? Yes, girl, I did. I've been living this. Now let's be super direct. The team composition is clearly absurd. 4 paladins. 4 paladins? What the hell? Like, so paladins do have a ridiculous amount of self-sustain in their kit, and Divine Veil is very, very good. It's a great AoE barrier, and it has a little heal now clipped onto it. Well, I suppose last expansion they clipped it onto it. Was it this one or last? Either way, it now has a heal clipped onto it. Not as effective as Warrior's little ticking heal over time, but I'll take it. I like it when paladins use it. But then they have Clemency for targeted healing. Reaper's Arcane Crest is very consistent to keep up, and it is a small, I think it's only 250 potency. I'm just doing off my top of my head. I'm not even looking up this tooltip, but it's like a consistent heal over time for the group. I think it's up every 30 seconds, so you'll have it every single AoE damage. It's still better than most melee DPS, though, which bring friggin' nothing. Hi, looking at you, Viper, which I'm quite direct. But Dancer also provides healing and admittedly quite flimsy shields. Improvisation shields, not the biggest shields, guys. No way about that. I'm not saying it's there, but they do bring that through improvisation, and then they also have Curing Waltz up consistently. Red Mage with Vercure to spot, heal, Magic Barrier for mitigations, and then a 5%, so it's a little heal increase, same as Fey Illumination, really, if we're looking at, but Fey Illumination is the opposite, where 5% is the mid. But I suppose also Red Mage would have spot revives, but in this kind of comp, you're probably not going to be reviving everyone's expert level player. And then Pictomancer is going to obviously provide some fringe healing naturally through their rotation, because it does have a heal clipped onto it. I think that it's their Star Prism ability. So it will be not the goal of their ability cast, but it'll just be added healing here and there, wherever. And then obviously they bring Tempera Grassa, which is going to be a fantastic AoE barrier for everything. And so this team composition is able to hit a remarkable 65,000 healing per second, which all things considered is actually quite substantial. It's also been made clear that pure healing is largely a solved issue, and then incoming damage that needs to be mitigated, which me as a barrier healer, like, it's been made clear, obviously through this content being cleared, that they have the mitigation component down, and the barriers accessible to these jobs clearly can make up for the lack of a barrier healer too. What I'm going to say out the get-go is clearly these players are extremely confident, capable, and are not the standard player. They are way better than me by a lot, and this is not normal. This is not going to fly in standard party finder for groups. This is not going to become the meta. I hope earnestly not a single person believes it's going to become the meta. Oh fuck, there's going to be people that actually somehow think this is going to become the meta. I don't know how to help them, but no way. But what this content is doing is that it's really highlighting once again those same issues and same talking points from a year ago. Remember, top was cleared without healers, and a lot of people misinterpreted what was said. Oh, blah blah blah, top this, blah 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 that. Well, I raised genuine criticisms, not with like the fact that like a group had a contrived group that was able to do it with like the best of the best players. Like, again, this will not become meta. This is ridiculous. But I raised issues that, again, people shuffled under the rug and pretended they didn't exist. Homogenization. Oversimplified, literally pressing one button damage rotations. And thirdly, content that doesn't ask for enough from the healers to do so that second point, the one damage rotation, fundamentally now becomes their primary task. This was all shoveled under the rug, totally forgotten. But likewise, I think that this clear in particular also opens up other interesting questions, like why is astrologian, which is clearly tuned above the other healers by a substantial amount, but why is astrologian's best? We're talking the astrologian's best data point, still able to be outdone by a paladin spamming friggin' 45 clemency casts. I do believe that there's a substantive argument here that if it wasn't for the role-based mechanics, healers could see, and again, this is my opinion, I would need to think more on it, this is very off the cuff and a genuine reaction to me just seeing it, but I do believe that the pure healer of the party could be very much replaced by one of these off-healing roles if it wasn't for role-based mechanics. Barrier healers, I personally do think are too vital for the overall comfort of a run, so I don't think that it could become meta to replace a barrier healer, but I do believe that a pure healer could be reasonable to expect, and perhaps that's my own bias. I'm going to acknowledge perhaps that's my own bias, perhaps barrier healer is the easier of the two to replace, who knows. But when it comes to pure healing, I really do think that there is a question here worth asking. Lastly, I'm going to add a point that I don't think people expected to have in this video. Physical range DPS. I think that they play a factor in this nonsense too. A role, physical range DPS, is inarguably in a terrible dog crap state compared, or how to say it. Physical range DPS, frankly, their numbers are so far behind melee DPS, let alone picked DPS, good god, let's not even go there, that it's almost comical to talk about physical range DPS in terms of the damage that they bring in earnest. Dancer at least has a benefit where it literally is kind of like a venom slime, and it just attaches itself to Pictomancer, making the Dancer viable. Bard, likewise, it's not quite a symbiote, but it's kind of there. It can sing and kind of cling onto the Dancer, and so Bard is able to get past, and then left in the dirt, absolutely just covered in cow manure, is Machinist, that simply can't buff Pictomancer, and its raid DPS is horrific. I think Machinist might be the worst DPS that we have right now. Machinist Summoner. We're not talking about Summoner here. Summoner players, you are seen, but not in fruit. I'm gonna totally get an angry comment for that. You know I'm joking, right? I hope you do. I'm getting cancelled on Twitter, fuck. But in all seriousness, we have come to such a strange point where I believe that another emergent problem from the range physical DPS being here is that DPS checks have to be low, because range phys are so in the dirt terrible that we see weird stuff like this crop up. 45 clemency cast from a paladin is outrageous. That's ridiculous. I will say that's absolutely insane, because not only is it an on GCD thing, but they're actively burning their MP pool that they also use for their DPS spells. It's outrageous. I mean, it's hilarious, because it's like, how did you do that? But it indicates what a problem this clearly is. And so until physical range DPS are buffed to the DPS check level where they can raise the DPS check and make it tighter, it seems that fight design is really being limited by just how bad physical range DPS are. And in turn, that cascades into this being a healer issue by proxy. But if you blinked when I said that, you probably missed a pain point that I want to really identify here. Is we just said that, like a few minutes ago, that astrologian, which is again the top healer damage, it has been beaten by a paladin with 45 clemency casts. So if DPS checks do get that tight, where do the pure healers go? So we're in that weird situation where the party's 5% buff and the healer role mechanics really is the only reason why, in my opinion, we're looking at pure healers actually being taken through. Otherwise, I think we'd be in a wild ride for experimentation. Is experimentation bad? But I think that indicates even more than all the points that I've raised here just how busted healers are. Because if you can get away doing the same healing, the same mechanics, you're on a safer job, because Paladin simply has a higher HP pool and personal mitigations out the wazoo. Like, if you're gonna die hollowed ground, hallelujah, praise the Lord. But it also brings more damage. It's worth considering.